Welcome back. Today we're talking about what many people consider the most vital, yet emotional and personal part of their entire estate plan. In this lesson, we're going deeper into guardianship for minor children. Not just who you would choose, but how guardianship actually works, how financial support can be structured alongside it, and how to think through the details so your plan functions the way you intend. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to clearly document who would care for your children, how money could support that care, and what instructions or guardrails matter most to you. Let's start with an important mindset shift. Guardianship isn't a single decision. It's a system. It's a combination of people, roles, money, and instructions that work together to support your child. When those pieces align, things tend to go smoothly. When they don't, stress and confusion can show up at exactly the wrong time. First, let's talk about the guardian role itself. A guardian is responsible for the day-to-day life of your child, where they live, school decisions, medical care, routines, emotional support. This is the raise the child role. Think of this as choosing someone to step into your shoes. A guardian is the person who would raise your children until they reach the age of majority, which is usually 18, but can vary by state. That's why choosing a guardian is mostly about lifestyle and values, not finances. A helpful way to think about this is to imagine a regular Tuesday morning, who can get your child out the door, manage homework, handle stress, and still show up with patience. Now here's a consideration many people overlook. You actually have the option to think about guardianship in two distinct roles. One is the guardian of the person who provides the nurturing care and makes the day-to-day lifestyle decisions we just talked about. The other is the guardian of the estate, the person who is responsible for managing and investing a child's money and property. And here's where this becomes especially important to understand. A guardian does not automatically have access to your child's inheritance. In many situations, that separation can actually be helpful. If you need a lighthearted way to remember why this matters, think back to a few fairy tales. Cinderella and Snow White might have had very different stories if their fathers had done a bit of planning ahead. If someone neutral had been managing the finances, there could have been funds set aside specifically for care, education, and their future, regardless of who was responsible for day-to-day parenting. So instead of asking, who should raise my child and manage all the money, it can be more useful to break it into two separate ones. Who should raise my child, and who should manage money for my child? If the same person serves as both guardian and manages the finances, they likely have direct access to the child's funds and use them to cover expenses as they see fit. Another approach is to separate those roles by having financial support handled by a trustee, financial manager, or another trusted friend or family member. In that structure, the financial role focuses on using the money for the child's benefit, such as reimbursing expenses or providing support for housing, education, healthcare, and activities, following the guidelines you put in place. The funds are typically held specifically for the children's benefit, but there may be fees or administrative costs associated with managing the funds. In deciding how best to proceed, it's important to consider that separating these roles can protect your child in several ways. It can add accountability, reduce pressure on the person doing the day-to-day parenting, and help ensure money is used intentionally over time. At the same time, this structure can mean less flexibility for the guardian. Day-to-day life with children often brings unexpected expenses, and having a separate person managing the funds may require more coordination when those situations come up. Here's a practical way to think this through. Ask yourself, do I want the guardian focused on parenting, juggling finances, or is there someone that could help with one of these? There's no single right answer. Some families choose the same person for both roles. Others intentionally separate them. What matters is that the structure fits the people involved. When you are looking at potential candidates, you aren't looking for perfection. You're looking for fit. Ask yourself, do they share your worldview or faith? Are they physically and emotionally able to raise children? Do your kids already know them and feel comfortable with them? It's also wise to consider their current life stage. A guardian should be a legal adult, but you might also consider if a grandparent has the physical stamina for young children, or if a younger relative is stable enough for the responsibility. Now, what about family drama or hurt feelings? You might worry about offending a relative by not choosing them, but remember, this isn't about being fair to adults. It's about what is best for your child. If you're worried about a specific person, like a non-custodial parent you have serious concerns about, you can include an explanation with your will. While the law usually presumes a surviving parent should get custody, your documented facts can make the court aware of why that might not be the best environment for your child. You can also leave a separate letter explaining your choices to your family, which could go a long way in helping them understand your heart behind the decision. Next, let's consider some ways you can help make this transition smoother. Your will can include guidance for how your children should be raised. This isn't about controlling every detail. It's about sharing what matters. Things like whether you want siblings kept together, whether both sides of the family should stay involved, educational or cultural priorities, religious exposure, if relevant. These instructions help your guardian understand your intent, not just your legal choices. You will need to take some time to think through some of these questions, but don't let it stop your progress. We have prepared a few resources that may assist in the resource section of the MyEstateKit app. Take some time to reflect, but don't worry if you need to set it aside for a time and then come back. Ideas and new possibilities can evolve over time. Finally, let's talk about backups and contingencies, because life can be very unexpected. Every guardianship plan works better with layers. What happens if your first choice can't serve? What if a couple you name separates? What if someone is willing to take one child, but not all? It is a smart move to select a primary guardian or guardians, and then build a bullpen of contingent or backup options. In every case, before naming someone, it's wise to talk with them, not to pressure them, but to confirm willingness and alignment. A simple conversation can prevent years of stress later. You can say, if something happened to us, would you be willing to step into this role? And here's what that might involve. If your children are older, you may also want to consider their relationships and comfort levels. Some parents choose to note that children's input should be considered, depending on age. Again, this isn't about certainty. It's about giving direction. Now let's bring this together into action. If you've watched this lesson, you now understand guardianship as a system. People, money, instructions, and backups working together. A small but powerful next step is to write down your first guardian choice, at least one backup, whether the same person should manage finances, 1 or 2 instructions that matter most to you. That's enough to move from thinking about it to having a plan. If you want to go deeper, the worksheets linked to this lesson help you organize these decisions clearly. There's also a guide that walks through common guardianship structures used by families so you can compare options at a high level. You don't need to finalize everything today, but after this lesson, you have the tools to put something real in place, something that works.